Hi ladies. Okay, so today I'm here as I get a lot of questions mainly about my kids and my pregnancies and that sort of stuff, so I thought I'd do a video today about that. Just to answer some of those questions, and just so I can get them out of the way, because I do get asked them. The most common questions is how many kids I have, their ages, and can you talk about your pregnancies and labours and so sort of thing. So this is kind of like a rundown of my pregnancy and labour delivery stories. So I'll try and maybe even pop a few pictures in between, like to give you an idea maybe when I was pregnant, or not that I had many pictures of me when I was pregnant with my twins, because we didn't have computers or digital cameras when I was pregnant with them. But I'll try and put a few things together so you can get a fair idea what it was like. You might hear my kids in the background because they are home. I usually do my videos when they're either at school, but it's school holidays here in Australia, or when they're having their naps, but it's what's the time? 4:30 in the afternoon, so they've already had their naps, and I can't do it tonight because I'll be going out tonight, so I thought I'll just try and squeeze in here. Okay, so the most common question I get is how many children do I have and their ages. I have 10-year-old twins, boys, I have a 4-year-old son, and I have a 2-year-old daughter. I've only had 3 deliveries, but I've been pregnant 4 times. One ended in a miscarriage in 2010. I get asked to give a summary of my pregnancies. Okay, so the pregnancy with my twins, I carried to 38 weeks. I found out I was pregnant with them very late. I was young, I was working very long hours, and I was always with my friends, and I wasn't tracking or anything like that sort of thing, so I didn't have a clue I was pregnant until about 6-7 weeks along, which was shocking, I know, but I didn't have any idea. I was so busy at work, and I was sick, but I just put it down to like the flu or gastro or something like that. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was surprised but very excited at the same time. I was shocked when I found out I was having twins, because there's no twins on my side of the family, nor was it at my partner's side of the family at the time. The twins are not my husband's biological children. He's their stepdad, but he came into their life when they were 5 years old, and he's never treated them any differently. He's always treated them as their father, and they've accepted him from day one, which is fantastic. The pregnancy was pretty, it was pretty tough, only because I was so sick, but thankfully like around 20 weeks it kind of eased off it's on its own, and then even though I was on Maxilon, that sort of thing, which helped a lot with the twins at the time. Their labour, I was induced at 38 weeks, nearly 39 weeks, day before 39 weeks. Number one reason was mainly because I had a separated pelvis. I know there's a technical term for that, but I can't think of it at the top of my head, and I was in a lot of pain with that. So they thought they'll induce me and give me an epidural, as it would be too much pain to deliver them naturally, which is what I wanted, but of course I couldn't have it. So I was induced, and the labour was roughly 12 hours. 12 hours long from the start of the induction to fully delivered. I pushed, I think, half an hour. This was back in 2001, so you know, I am stretching my memory. I have my husband says a shocking memory, but I wouldn't say it's that bad. But anyway, so I think I pushed for about half an hour to deliver 2 babies, which is pretty good, I think. I had to have the cut and to deliver my second baby, number 2, my second son, Jack, because he wouldn't come down. No matter how much I pushed, it just wouldn't come down. So they had to cut me, and used the forceps to help me get him out. So weight wise, Liam, who was born first, he was 6 pounds 10 ounces, and Jack was 7 pounds 9 ounces. So basically 2 full-size babies. It shocked everybody in the room because they kept like, oh, you're going to deliver early and you're going to have such small little babies because twins are so small and that sort of thing. And I had 2 full-size babies. Okay, so my son, who is my husband's son, Brendan, he that pregnancy was sick from the day dot. I found out I was pregnant with him around 5 weeks, and I was sick the whole time, throwing up all day, every day, for the whole 9 months. I suffer a condition called hypomemesis. I think I pronounced that properly. I'll put the condition, a link to the condition in the down bar. It's basically you throw up all day, every day, and that's basically what I did. I was in and out of hospital a lot, on the drip for dehydration, and at one point I nearly lost him because I was so sick. And that pregnancy was long. I carried him to 41.5 weeks. It was a full natural delivery. I waited till my waters burst. That's how I went into labour. I wasn't induced or anything. I was 4 days away from my induction date when I went into labour naturally myself. The labour, it was long as well. It was a bit shorter than the twins, but it was still long. It was about 8 to 10 hours from the time my waters broke, which was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it was long. And for me, from going from an induction with an epidural to not feeling anything, to then fully feeling everything and going into labour naturally, it was a horrible, horrific, in my view, a horrible, horrific labour. It was extremely painful. By the time I got to the hospital, and I said, like, do you think I should have an epidural because it's all really... No. Pfft, you can do it. You're a big woman. You're tall. You're strong. You've delivered twins. No, you can do it. So I was on the ball. I was in the shower. I was in a lot of pain. It got to the point where they said, hop on the bed on all fours, which I hated. I did not want that position, but they were very determined, pushy. Get on the bed, you'll be fine, you can do it. So I had 2 midwives and an OB in the room. Not the OB I was seeing, it was a different OB because my OB I was seeing wasn't there. So from the moment of pushing, I think I blanked out, or my body just blocked the pain. It was so painful. I can't recall how long I was pushing. I was screaming a lot that he was stuck, and they kept saying, no, he's not stuck, you can do it, just push him out, you'll be fine. It only got to the point where he started to come out that I said, the cord's wrapped around his neck multiple times. He was stuck, and they still did not use any kind of suction or forceps or anything. I didn't tear, amazingly. But he did get stuck. I don't know how long he was stuck, but you kind of see by the shape of his head, it was just like conage, and like he's been stuck there for a long time. And they did not help me at all. I did eventually push him out. They did tell me to stop pushing when they saw that the cord was multiple wrapped around his neck. They unwrapped the cord from his neck, and then finally, thankfully, he came out. But it was so traumatic, the fact that I was screaming for so long for help, because he was stuck, he felt stuck, I couldn't get him out, and to get no help. It was horrific for that reason, and I will never have a baby in that hospital ever again. So he was 10 pounds 9 ounces, drug free, 8 to 10 hour labour, horrific pain. Okay, so that was my delivery with my son. And with my daughter, I found out I was pregnant with her at 4 weeks. I was charting then. I was also trying to sway for a girl and do all those natural things and using OPKs and everything. And I had a really good regular cycle. I was 30 days and I ovulated around cycle day. Like, I got a positive OPK around cycle day 15, that sort of stuff, and I normally ovulate around cycle day 17. So that worked out really good. I was only TTCing for 4 months when I fell pregnant, and I knew I was pregnant because I was sick once again, straight away. Throwing up all day, every day. It was a very long pregnancy in the fact that I was so sick, and every day was such a struggle to get through with 3 children and being so sick. I also got gestational diabetes and had to give myself shots twice a day to help with my glucose levels and that sort of thing, blood sugar levels, sorry. So that was horrible. But it was, at the same time, it was a wonderful pregnancy because I was carrying my daughter and it was my first little girl. So that fact, it was, you know, beautiful, and I loved every minute of it. If I just wasn't so sick, it would have been perfect. So I went to a different hospital. I had a different OB, and this hospital was fantastic. And even though I was induced at 38 weeks, pain medicine, I didn't have any. I did want a natural birth. Because as you recall, I had an epidural with twins and I hated it. I was so sick afterwards, and it took me such a long time to recover from the epidural. Like, my legs were numb for hours and hours and hours. Even after they took the epidural away, I had like pins and needles for hours and hours, and it was just painful. So I didn't want an epidural. And frankly, like, the doctor, because I had gestational diabetes, they didn't want to give me an epidural anyway. They wanted to, or a C-section or anything like that. They knew it was going to be a large baby because of the gestational diabetes. I mean, my belly was huge. I mean, I was, at 38 weeks, I was measuring 44 weeks or something like that. So I knew she was going to be a big girl, but it was mainly only because of the gestational diabetes. But they didn't want to do a C-section because they wanted me to deliver vaginally, because it can help babies with gestational diabetes to, like, because when, you know, you're going through the birth canal, it kind of squeezes out their lungs and that sort of thing, and just getting rid of any fluid or anything like that, and it kind of helps them that way. So I was all for it anyway. And that was only I think it was 6 hours labour and delivery. So from the time I got the induction medicine, the drip, to the birth, so it was pretty good. And it was a beautiful birth, labour. I loved it. I was laughing the whole time. I felt more in control because it was induced. I felt like I knew when the contractions were coming. I breathed through them. I laughed through them. I watched TV. Jason was making me laugh like he always does. I had my mum there. We were just talking. And the midwives were fantastic. I had the best midwife. Her name was Pat, and she kept coming in. She's going, oh, most women cave at this point and begging for epidural, but I found that, you know, really capable, and I was okay. And at one point, they had to turn the induction drip off because I was progressing so quickly, and the contractions were like back to back at one point, non-stop. And this is what happened with my son as well. Like, 1 minute it was just like really slow, next minute, boom, it just sped up right towards the end. And I dilated to 10 straight away and all that sort of stuff. And the only most painful part was when they had to break my waters. And I actually cried through that pain. It was horrific. I hated it. I hate having my waters broken. That was very painful. More painful than actual delivering a 10-pound baby. So it got to the point where it was back to back, and she was going, oh no, we might have to give you something for the pain, because it was very overwhelming. So she went and checked me, and then all of a sudden I went, I've got to push, and she said, okay, push, and it was like one big push, and she arrived. So it was a very fast, as they call it, like it was very fast entry into the world, and she was very blue from the birth and the gestational diabetes, and she was very swollen because of the gestational diabetes. And she didn't cry straight away. They had to help her a little bit with oxygen and that sort of stuff because it was such a quick delivery. But she was perfect and she was beautiful, and I'll try and put some pictures because I took plenty of pictures of that labour and delivery. So it was beautiful, and compared to my 2 previous births, this one was perfect. I had the right amount of support, I had the right amount of help. You know, they were there for me. I felt very in control. And I had minimal amount of pain, and that was only when the waters were broken and when the contractions were back to back. The pushing didn't hurt. She didn't get stuck because I had the midwives there to help me. I didn't tear or anything, so it was fantastic. So that is a quick summary of my labours and my pregnancies. If you have any other questions, then feel free to ask, and I will now try and put like a little slideshow or some photos of my pregnancies or labours or my deliveries or my children or anything like that. And I will talk to you all soon. I hope that answered your questions, and feel free to ask any more, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.